Shalom to the bride of the Messiah, and shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites, for you are the bride of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. I bring you a great edification today, my brothers and sisters, for this has been long overdue. Everything does happen at its appointed time and season. I've been working on these calculations for a while, and then I had a stumbling block, my brothers and sisters. And then I just put it to the side. I said, okay, Father, in your due time. Well, it's the due time, and I understand why he did it. Because he had to bring out the evidence to give us confirmation on how to determine the 13th month. So in part 2, we learned that we have to look at the 358 cycle to be the tiebreaker on when to add the 13th month, because sometimes the moon will come in just a few days early, okay, before the equinox, or sometimes can come on the equinox. So that is the tiebreaker. Now there's another component we need to look at that the prophet Enoch talked about. As again, I stress to you, my brothers and sisters, you must read First Enoch and Second Enoch to understand Yahuwah's calendar. And his calendar is made up of the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. Excuse me, I need to clear my voice. Now, first, I need to address some errors that I had made in part 2. So bear with me. And as for the announcements, please check the video description box for Yahuwah prophetic message. He has spoken through his messengers, known as prophets or prophetess. And he has confirmed unto us what season we are in, which aligns up to what I have, Brother Yahushua, and Beta Israel. For we are in the 7th day from Adam, which is the 12,000 year of creation. And that is the season when the Messiah shall return to redeem the bride of the Lamb, the 144,000, and and the nation of Israel. For a birth for the nation must come forth. Okay. And he shall carry out his father's judgment upon the earth and establish his kingdom upon the earth, which he shall prepare the way for his father to come. Right? Now let me address the errors. Now in part 2, we the title of that video was looking at our brother calendar records and the 13th month. The overlooked errors part 2. So in the video, I did not discuss a year when we look at Brother Yahushua 13 moon record. Now, from 1996 down to 2005, we have the records to prove of his 13 months. But after that, we had to calculate or look at the calculation I had in the video that was titled the 13th month to add or not to add, okay? So I had to use those calculations as well. But one particular error that really stood out to me was in the year of 2006 into 2007, because Brother Yahushua had his new moon day on March the 21st. Now, I'm not for sure, is he saying that the 21st at sundown was the new moon day, or or is he claiming that March the 20th at sundown is the new moon day? Because sometimes what he'll do on his calendar, he'll put the number 1 on the next day of the calendar day. So, it's kind of hard to determine. So when I look at other results and when I had did research, this is what I learned about the new moon crescent for the year of March 2007. Israel saw it on March the 20th, 2007, and from further research, other areas have seen it on March the 19th on 2007. And the reason why I'm pointing this out, because the 20th is before the equinox in the year of March 2007. For the equinox fell on the 20th day of March in the year of 2007, which is very important because he should have added a 13th month. But when I look at his dates for Aviv right here in this column that you see here, okay, it looks like he probably didn't add it until in the year of 2007 to 2008. Looking at these numbers, I didn't really go back and try to count everything, but just looking at the numbers, it looked like he may have added it later, okay, based on his bid dates. And these are bid dates that's highlighted in blue came from his calendar record that we talked about in part 1. Okay. Therefore, his number would change, For example, when we look at the difference, the pattern should be 2, 3, 3, and then starts over to 2, 3, 3. However, if he did not add the 13th month in the year of 2006 to 2007, it would change the pattern to 3, 2, 3 as far as the difference. Now, as far as the cycle, because he's starting at 3, this will skip over cycle 5 and go to cycle 8. So, which is, well, actually, it would be would skip over cycle 8 too, because we would have it going back down to 3, 5, and 3. Do you hear me, my brothers and sisters? What would happen, it would go back down to 3, 5, and 3. Or it can be an 8. There's no telling, because his records of the 13th month is not following the cycle that Enosh was given unto us as prophecy. It's really way off. So he does have some errors he does need to address in his calendar records, because it's not reflecting that. So again, it's confirming why I did not follow him in the year of 2017 to 2018 to add a 13th month. I would add the 13th month in the year of 2018 to 2019. And it's based on what the prophet Enoch has written. The next thing I need to address that I didn't mention in part 2 is that oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So I did put one of the resources so you can see yourself. This come from Israelite New Moon Society. Okay, well, you can look at their charts. They've been keeping records, and they are aware that they have not been seeing the new moon before other countries. Okay, they are aware of this issue. All right, for some reason, my fellow brothers who are Hebrew Israelites are not addressing that issue. Now, another thing I forgot to mention was in the part 2, when you look at the chart I have on my record, is that I assure you that I'm not following the Jewish people on how they do the 13th month, because what you would find out when you compare my records to Brother Hashur and to the Jewish people, there will be some years we have in common that a 13th month will be added. However, when you look at the cycle, the 358 cycle, you will see the difference between Hashur records, my records, and the Jewish people records, who are, and I'm not talking about the Jewish, I'm talking about the synagogue of Satan, where they are converts, they are not Israelites, they are the sons of Japheth, the sons of Esau, and the sons of an ancient nation too that has joined themselves among them. Again, you have to go back to the Old Covenant, and the prophecies are there from the beginning of the book, which is Genesis, to the end of the book as well. Okay, so a proof of that is that in the year of 2012 to 2013, Israel claimed the new moon in March the 12th, 2013, as that first month of the year. So they did not add a 13th month. They claimed that new moon day as the month of Aviv. And notice that the 12th of March in the year of 2013 is way before the equinox, okay? And it and when you look at the 358 cycle, it fell in the 5th cycle of that pattern, okay? And it was the fifth fold of the moon's sevenfold course. So that's proof to you that I'm not following the Jewish people either. I'm looking at what the prophet wrote. I'm looking at the heavens. I'm looking at records to prove, because now we're seeing what Enoch had prophesied unto us is coming to life. Okay? All we have to do is go out and observe the heavens, keep a record, and review and evaluate what we have. The next thing I need to do that I didn't do in part two, I'm going to scroll down this slowly because I want you, sorry about that. I want you to have this record as proof, because if any changes are made, we need to know why he made any changes to his records. So I need to go slow, forgive me. Let me start back over. So as we see here, I'm going to scroll down to the 21. You can pause your screen there. We'll scroll down to 19. I'll pause your screen. I'm going to scroll down to 17. Scroll down to 18 now. I'm going to scroll down to 21. I'm going to scroll down to 24. Scroll down to 19. I'm going to scroll down to 22. I'm going to scroll down to 24. I'm going to scroll down to 27. I'm going to scroll down 28. I'm going to scroll down to 27. I'm going to scroll down to 25. I'm going to scroll down to 27. I'll scroll down to 27. So what I'm going to keep scrolling down slowly, and you just have to pause your screen. But I want you to have a access or can see his calendar record. So if any changes are made, we can see what changes was made and compare. Okay, so just bear with me with that. And for those who are watching this video, you can just fast forward. And what I will do in the video description box, I'll put down the time where you can fast forward to for those who want to skip this part of the video. It's important that we have it. As you can see, there go 13 month there. That's 97. We're in the year 98. And let me try this cursor here. So in the year 98 of October, in the 8th month. Okay, let's see if this will help. Trying to get to the point where it will go a little faster. There we go. So it won't take so long. I just want you to have this for your records. Now in the year 2000, on to 2001. They're going 13 month there. And we'll see 2003. Then in 2004. We'll go 13 month there. And in the year 2005. In the year 2006, I see. Okay. And now we're in the year 2007. And as you can see, he got his last day on March the 21st. Okay. Now that should take care of that. And I do apologize, but that part had to be done. And last but not least, before we get started, watch part 2, which is our brother calendar records in the 13th month, the overlooked errors. And the night new moon just came out. It was seen on November the 8th, which was Thursday at sundown. Let's see. Yeah, Thursday at sundown in the year of 2018 AD. So that marks the first day of the new moon. Far as according to the resources I've been checking thus far, Israel has not seen the new moon yet. So just watch that video too when you have a chance. Now that should take care of all that. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. Title of this video is Lunar Epact, Part 3 of 13-month Anat in 2017 to 2018, and snow in Israel during Passover, Israelites and Gentiles, and looking at our further calendar records in the 13th month, the overlooked errors. Okay, let's scroll down. Then we're not going to go. I'm not going to go over every single detail. But I'm just going to point out the highlights. So what I did, my brothers and sisters, I list Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, because this is one of the most powerful verses that is saying a whole lot. I would like for you to pray and meditate on this verse and ask the Father to give you insight, because by looking at the Gregorian calendar, nothing is correct, not even this weekly format, okay? Even how they have the order of the days is not correct in their weekly format. The months is not correct. Nothing is correct. And this is why I stress to you about this verse, because the Father gave us the lights in the firmament of the heaven to be for signs, to also tell us about his days, such as what days are holy, what days are not holy. Also tell us about his years, such as to determine when there's a jubilee, a shemitah, etc., and to determine when his seasons begin and end. Okay? Now, below this, a lot of times people, when they read Genesis, especially chapter 1, they looking at it as a 24-hour day thing. It is not a 24-hour day. And the proof can be found in Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 3, and Genesis chapter 5. Because what you will learn is that Adam died on the sixth day of creation. Because the word said that if he eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he would die in that day. So what is that day? Unto the Father is 1,000 years unto him. So he died in the sixth day of creation. But also when you read Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2, you will also learn that he was also created in the sixth day of creation. So it has to be within 1,000 year period, my brothers and sisters, that makes a day unto Yahuwah and how he created his creations in 1,000 day period, such as um day one was 1,000 years, day two was 2,000 years, day three was 3,000 years, etc. So Adam was created on the 6,000 year, which is day six, and he died in the 6,930th year. So he died within that day as prophesied, whereas um, written that if that should happen to him when he eat of the tree of the knowledge and good and evil. Okay. Now this is what we learned from part two. Part two taught us that when you're not for sure when to add the 13th month, because sometimes the new moon would come in just a few days before the equinox, such as it can come in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, okay? Or it can come right in, or it can come right on the equinox day. So the tiebreaker is look at your 358 cycle, okay? And the sevenfold course of the moon in 19 years. And we'll talk more about that because we have to look at the lunar epact. But anyway, let us continue. Another thing that the Father brought to my attention that Brother Hashur has stressed that if it's before the equinox, you have to add a 13th month. Or, yeah, you have to add a 13th month. But when we look at the sacred books, it gives us another tiebreaker. For in Jubilees chapter 6, verse 36, it says that for there would be those who would surely make observation of the moon. Now it disturbeth the season and come in from year to year 10 days too soon. So to determine whether a 13th month should be added, here's the key. It must come in 10 days too soon. 10 days before the equinox. So this is why when we take a look at the lunar epact and we look at the chart, you will see what I'm talking about. You will see some of my new moon crescent dates being a couple days before the equinox day, but it's within that 10-day grace period. Okay. And then now we can see how this 10-day grace period work in hand with the 358 cycle and with the sevenfold course of the moon in 19 years. And you will have access to this Google document, my brothers and sisters. So you don't have to write anything down. You can just listen and later on you can print this out. And you have the links to review those scriptures, texts, or sacred writings. Now we're going to talk about the lunar epact. The question is, where does it come from? The answer, it comes from Yahuwah. He is our Father in heaven. He made the lunar epact. So the next question is, you're going to want to know what is it. But what you may not have known is that the heathen used this knowledge to keep the world from celebrating any of Yahuwah's holy days and feast days, such as the Passover, such as the Passover, and what follows after Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And one video you can watch as confirmation of that is looking at the King James 1611 Almanac. So they use the Most High holy calculations, such as the lunar epact, to determine when his year starts so they can ensure that their holy days would be recognized um, first. Okay, that's why they kept up with it. All right. Now, to understand what is a lunar epact, the epact basically means is that are added days to the solar year to determine when the lunar year begins. Okay, and this is what they use to determine their Easter date. Okay, and you can read this in your spare time to understand what epact means and where it comes from. You know, it comes from a Latin, and that Latin word comes from a Greek word, which means added days. But this is what the heathens did. hmm You can see it. You can see them how they went in Enoch's writings and they use um, the Most High divine formulas so they can keep the masses astray from Him, so they won't worship his holy days. And also it does fulfill Yahuwah's will, because according to his word, he took these holy days away from Israel because they broke the covenant, and that was a way to ensure that they would never have the correct days. And now we can see that word being fulfilled. But getting back on track, when you look at the formula on how to determine your epact, and let me bring this up a little bit, you will learn that you can determine when the new moon crescent would appear. And I'm telling my brothers and sisters, it's right on the money. With the record I had, is confirmation. What I observed in the heavens from the year of 2014 to all the way up to 2018 now is right on the money. Right on. So that's another way to determine if you have the correct new moon day. All right. Let me see anything else I need to read. And what you see in this paragraph here, it just confirmed what was written in Second Enoch, how down in the heavens, the sun year now is 365.25, and you would see that in Second Enoch. And according to the law of the heavens, that 0.25 is not added until the fourth year of the sun, which would give you a total of 366 days. As for the moon, when things was perfect, before Adam sinned, the moon was a total days was 30 days, but now the moon can be 29 days or 30 days because its cycle or its circuit is 29 and a half days on the average. Okay. So let me see here. What do we have here? So your lunar epact days can vary because it depends on how many days are in the solar year and how many days are in the lunar year. So you can have 12 days, 11 days, or 10 days for your lunar epact, depending on that. So that is the formula. The formula for lunar epact is the sun year minus the moon year will give you your lunar epact. That's showing you if the moon is, how many days the moon is ahead of the sun, or how many days the moon is in a surplus of the sun. And that's the second form when we take the Adar 2, which is the 13th month, and we subtract the lunar epact days, and that'll give us a bank of extra days to work with in keeping the moon in the right seasons. And you'll see what I'm talking about that when we go to the chart. Okay. As you see here, there are videos you can watch to see how the Gregorian calendar is in error when we look at leap year, when you have an extra day. Also, let's see what else we have here. There's other videos to watch as far as when we look at the year end totals for the year of 2017 and 2018. So we should, by keeping a record, it helps us to see the whole picture when it comes to Enoch's writings. Also, it helps us to see the whole picture when it comes to whether these biblical prophecy has been fulfilled or in the process of being fulfilled. Okay. So I'm not going to talk about this part here because we're going to review it further down below. But take this time now to pause the screen because you're probably saying, oh, what in the world is this? You know how Sister Yuri is. She loves math. She has these formulas, these calculations. But I think I'm going to come back to that. Now, here's the chart that we're going to review. In this chart, if you see in the column, we have the year, when the 13th month was. We have the days of the sun and when it began and end, in which it does include the equinox day. We have a column for the moon, how many days was in that moon year and when it began and end. Then I'll show you the lunar epact, okay, how we got it. You have to take the sun minus the moon, all right? And then I will show you this formula here to how to determine when the new moon start. The formula that is that you would take your equinox days minus, you take the day of the equinox minus or plus the day of the how many days you have for the epact. Okay, sometimes you would subtract, sometimes you would add, and that would give you your new moon day for the first month of the new year of that moon. Let me say this again. The formula to figure out to determine when your new moon will appear for the first day of its new year, you would take your equinox day and add or minus the lunar epact. That's how you do it. And it worked out perfectly. Now, because I came to truth in the year 2014, oh, you would see why I know that these calculations are correct. Everything worked out beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful, my brothers and sisters. I was filling a chart. But let me get to the part to show you what I'm talking about. When I had when I kept a record of the moon, because I came into truth around 2014, so I started keeping a record. In the year 2014 to 2015, all the way down, I was able to determine the lunar epoch, and having these numbers for it, I was able to work back the calculations all the way up to the year of 1999, and it worked beautifully, and it fit perfectly in the 3 5-year cycle. Okay, so now let us look at the year of 2014 to 2015. I'm not going to go through everything, okay, but I'm going to let you see how I got what I got. So when we look at the days of the sun and the days of the moon for that year, the day of the sun was a total of 366, and the day of the moon was a total of 355. If we subtract that, I have the moon starting 11 days earlier before the sun. Now, prior to that year, prior to the year of 2014 to 2015, we have to look at any surplus days was carried down, and it was. And we'll talk a little more about that further in this video, but I just want you to flow with me right now. There was a surplus days from that carry over from the year of 2013 to 2014. I want you to see that. So those surplus days carry down here. When we take plus 11 days added to a negative 11 day, is zero out. Anybody say, oh, what that means? What that basically means is that your new moon day for the year of 2015 to 2015 started on the same day as your equinox day. And the equinox day for the year of 2015 and your equinox day for the year of 2015 started on March the 21st, 2015. Therefore, the new moon started on March the 21st, 2015. And I was an eyewitness because I was watching the new moon, I was looking at people results. It fell right dead on the money. So it started on the equinox day. So this is how I was able to figure out these calculations, okay? So now we're going to work down, okay? So by knowing this piece of information, it zeroed out in the year of 2014 to 2015. That means the moon did not start before the sun. It was 0 days, okay? And what I mean by that, it did not start before the equinox, all right? So when we look at 2015 to 2016, those 0 days carry over. And in that year, we added a 13th month. Even Brother Yahushua added a 13th month. And that 13th month fell in cycle 8 and in the sixth fold of the moon sevenfold course cycle in 19 years. And also in this year, we had 2 blood moons. We had it on Abib 14 and Ephraim 15. Okay? So we take the days of the sun minus the days of the moon. And because we added a 13th month, we have 384 days for the moon. And for the sun, we have 365. And here in this column, the number of days we have for the 13th month was 30 days. That's very important for you to know. Okay? So because the moon was in a surplus amount of days, there was a bank. In other words, there's a bank of days that the moon has that would prevent the moon starting before the sun year, or starting before the equinox, or starting or not starting 10 days before. Okay, those bank of days. So when we subtract the days of the moon year from the days of the sun year, I got a total of, make sure I did my math right. It was 19 days, okay? That's where the 19 come from. And because there was no surplus days that carry over from the year of 2014 to 2015, we added 0 to 19. This is very important. Once you do that, then you can take that number to determine when your new moon date will start for the year of 2016 to 2017. So when I added the 19 days to the equinox day, which was March the 20th, 2016, 19 plus March the 20th, I got it to land on April the 8th, 2016, and that's when the moon was seen. Right on the money, my brothers and sisters. Okay? I want you to take this time and pause it so you can see where I got that number. Now we're going to look at the year of 2016 to 2017. Same thing. There's a surplus day. That means there's a bank of days that we carry over to the year of 2016 to 2017. So 19 days carry over. In that year, we have a total of 365 days for the sun and 354 days for the moon. When we subtract those days, we got 11 days that the moon would be ahead of the sun. Okay, so we take those 11 days and minus from the bank. That bank is 19. So 19 minus 11 leaves us 8 days that we have a surplus of. Okay, so once we do that, we can determine when would the new moon crescent appear for the new year of the moon. So how we do that, we take number 8 and we add it to the equinox day. So in the year of 2017, the equinox day fell on March the 20th, 2017. When we did that, the new moon crescent appeared on March the 28th, 2017, where our present, it hit right there on the money, my brothers and sisters. It appeared in America on March the 28th, 2017, right on the money. Now we are seeing that Enoch's prophetic writings are coming alive before our eyes. Do you see this, my brothers and sisters? Okay, so we do the same thing in the year of 2017 and 2018. In that year, this is how I knew that not to add the 13th month, but because Brother Hashur has a difference from me when I had the 13th month. This is why he was in the cycle 5, but for me, I was not in cycle 5 for that year. So in the year of 2017 to 2018, remember we have a surplus days of 8 days. We have a bank. So it carried over into the year of 2017 to 2018. When we subtract 365 days of the sun from 355 days of the moon, we got that the moon would be 10 days ahead of the sun. But we got a bank of days. So we take the surplus 8 days minus the 10 days that the moon would be ahead of the sun. We got a shortage of 2 days. So that what that's basically saying that the moon would be ahead of the equinox by 2 days. Do you see how it falls in that grace period? It does not go over the 10-day grace period. So therefore, we are 2 days ahead of the sun equinox. So when we take that -2 and add it to March the 20th, 2018, which is the equinox day, your new moon crescent will appear March the 18th, okay, 2018 AD, which it did on that day. Now, Brother Hashur is doing something different because he added a 13th month in the 2017 to 2018 AD, okay? This is why, his months is different from our months right now. But based on the world sightings and based here in America, the new moon crescent did appear on March the 18th, 2018. Do you see this? And isn't this amazing? So because I knew that this portion was correct, I was able to go back and work the numbers up, right? Work backwards. And I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, everything flowed out so beautiful. I went all the way up. I'm going to take this and you can pause it, where you can see for yourself. I went all the way up to the year of, getting right to it, just bear with me, all the way up to the year of 1999, and it hit it right there on the money. Now notice I'd have this in red because this was my stopping point. But to prove that the negative 3 days, that means the moon would start before the sun, by 3 days, a negative 3 days before the 13th month was added. I looked at the equinox day for 1999. So on March the 21st of 1999, if you take that number and subtract 3 from it, make sure I look at this right. You would get, you would get the new moon crescent to start on March the 18th to 1999 at sundown. You would see the new moon crescent on March the 18th, 1999 at sundown. So if you take those negative 3 days and you subtract from the equinox day, you get March the 18th, 1999, when the new moon crescent was seen right there on the money. Okay? Now, I do want to talk about what's highlighted. I'm not going back. I'm not going on every corner here. I just want you to see here what's highlighted. Notice that in the year of 1999 to the year 2000, you had the new moon crescent started on the 18th, which was 2 days before, I'm sorry, which was 3 days before the equinox day in 1999 of March. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? How it starts before the equinox, but it's within the 10-day grace period, but yet it falls in the 8th cycle of Enoch 358. So this is why a 13th month was added. Okay, so that's the confirmation. Looking at all those 3 pieces will determine whether to add the 13th month, but the tiebreaker is the 358 cycle. Another perfect example to show what I'm talking about, when we look at the year of 2002 to 2003, let's see here, make sure I look at this right. Notice here that the new moon crescent started on the 14th day of March. Now you probably ask yourself, why was that not labeled as the 13th month when we look at the year of 2001, 2002? Because when we look at the pattern of the 358 cycle, the 2001 and 2002 did not fall in that cycle. This is why we went with the new moon crescent as being on March the 14th as the being first that was seen in America. Okay. Now, in this year also, the Jewish did not add a 13th month. Okay. In words, they did not add a 13th month from the year of 2002 to 2003. So this is another proof to you that I'm not following the Jewish people. I'm following what the prophets wrote. I'm following, and which is confirmed by the calculations that you see here. Okay. So this is another proof to show you that how, and when we look at the equinox day for the year of 2002, the 14th was 6 days before the equinox. So it was within that 10-day grace period, my brothers and sisters, that you see here. So this is why the 13th month was not added. Okay. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, but you can always send me an email, to get more understanding. Now, I do need to mention this. What you see in parentheses, that's below like your days of the sun, the moon, and on the epact days, is the actual timing, such as it can be days, hours, and minutes, the actual timing, okay? And we look at that because it also helps you to see what Jubilees was talking about, how the moon would come in 10 days too soon, all right? So I'm just letting you know that it's kind of like it's not exact, but it's to give you an idea of the actual timing or the actual days of the sun and the moon, and the breakdown of days, hours, and minutes. Okay. And the reason is because we don't have any access, or I don't have access to the exact time when we see the new moon crescent. So I have to use what resources we have, such as on timeanddate.com, and take their numbers and just use what we have to get an idea. Okay. So you might see some numbers not lining up. For example, it's okay if you have -11 here, but the actual day is 10 hours, 22, with 10 days, 22 hours and 37 minutes. That's okay, because when you round up in calendar whole days, it come out to be 11. Okay. Or sometimes you might have 11 days and so many hours and so many minutes. That's okay. But there have been a couple of the numbers I noticed that maybe I seen 10, and then in the actual time, based on calculations, it was like 12 days, so many hours, so many minutes. But remember, I'm using, for that piece of information, I'm using what time and date it has, but it's not exact because they don't go by the new moon crescent. They go by the dark moon crescent. Now they do go by the sun tropical year, which basically means the sun solar year. So they look at the actual sun circuit. But that just FYI, so if you see discrepancies with that. Okay? Hope you understand what I'm saying. So let me look at another highlighted new moon crescent. Same thing here. This new moon crescent started on, let's see, this is in 2004. Started, okay, so we're good on that. That was started after the equinox. So let me go to another one highlighted. In the year of 2010 and 2011, you see this new moon crescent started on March the 16th, okay? And when we compare the equinox day in 2010, it was 4 days before the equinox, okay? But that 13th month was not added in the year of 2009 to 2010. It was added in 2010 to 2011, okay? Take this time now to pause your screen to review these numbers. So you can, I'm just so excited because now I understand everything happened at the most high appointed time and season. I can see how these numbers are just flowing so beautiful, my brothers and sisters. It is flowing so beautiful. Okay. And when we get to the end of the year of 2018 and 2019, we'll be in cycle 3 and in the sevenfold course of the moon in 19 years. Okay. Which would be the seventh. Let me show you this. I have to scroll down. You understand what I'm saying? So when we get to the year of, let's see here, was it ever added? Let me see. So what you would see here, okay, you see 358, 358. So when we get to 2018 to 2019, that'll be a 3. And if you count all of these together, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2018 to 2019 would make 7. So it's 7 times when the moon produced an extra moon in the heavens, known as the 13th moon. Now, what you see below that, starting from, you have to, the 19 years start from the year of start from the year of 2000 hyphen 2001 to 2018 to 2019. And when you count that up, it'd be 19 years total. Okay. So when we look at the year of like 2015 to 2016, that was the 16th year. When we look at 2016 to 2017, that's the 17th year. When we look at 2017 to 2018, that's the 18th year. And when we look at 2018 to 2019, that's the 19th year of the moon producing of the moon having a 7/4 course within those 19 years. We can actually see what Enoch is talking about right before our eyes. Which brings us to this. See, what was the site? In earthsky.org, they talked about this. And even Brother Hashur, Brother Ashari mentioned this in the third month of their calendar. Because they was talking about how there would be an extra moon produced in the spring season. So bear with me, my brothers, while I read this. But I do put the link of 2nd Enoch so you can read this and so you can see how this confirms what the prophet is saying. May 2016 earthsky.org article, and I read as quote, rather, the May 21st full moon is the third of 4 full moons to fall within the same season. And the season, my brothers, they're talking about are spring. Let me continue. To astronomers, a season is a period of time in between a solstice and an equinox, or vice versa. The full moon is the third of 4 full moons to take place in between March 2016 equinox to June 2016 solstice. In both instances, the blue moon is a calendar oddity caused by the 19-year metonic cycle. Now that's what the term the heathens will use. Do not allow this term be a stumbling block unto you, my brothers and sisters. Please read 2nd Enoch. Look at the heavens, observe it like I did. Write this out. Figure out your lunar epact, and you will see what I'm talking about. And use that lunar epact to determine when your new moon crescent will start for the moon in this new year. Okay? But let us continue. So, Shalaki, forgive me. There are 235 full moons in the 19 calendar years, yet only 228 calendar moons, or 76 3-month seasons. Therefore, it is inevitable that 7 out of 19 years will feature 2 full moons in 1 calendar month. And it's also inevitable that 7 out of 19 years will have 4 full moons in 1 season. So to summarize this, if you take 12 months, okay? Because according to each month, there's supposed to be 1 phase of each moon. But when you go back and you look at the heathen months, there is an extra moon produced. It can be a dark moon, full moon, half moon, etc. And that's what this article is saying. And it does this moon does this 7 times out of 19 years, okay? And one of the greatest evidence, and Brother Hashar had mentioned this, he mentioned this on Facebook. It was in the year of 2016 when we had 4 full moons to appear within the spring season, okay? And usually you're supposed to only have 3. So if we take 19 years times 12, you should get 228 moons. But because you have 7 additional moons to be produced, you take 7 and add to the 228, you get 235. That's what the prophet is talking about. So below that, I list, an example of that. Like I said, that was in, did I put the year? Yeah, that was in the year of 2016, in the month of starting from the month of Aviv, day 14, all the way to, let me see here, to, trying to see, let me scroll down. All the way down to, I have here Savannah, where when you count that within that time frame from your spring equinox to your summer solstice, I count a total of 4 full moons. Okay, so just look at that part and read that in your spare time. Now, what I have listed below is Enoch's explanation about what the 3-5 cycle means. What he's basically saying that within 3 years, in the moon 3rd year, it would be 30 days ahead of the sun. In the moon 5th year, it would be 50 days ahead of the sun. Okay. Now, when you subtract the third year from the fifth year, the number of days different are 20. That's how you get 50. In the moon 8 year, okay, it will have a total of 80 days, okay? Now, because the moon and sun days have changed, for example, the sun used to be 364, but it changed to 365.25, and in the fourth year is 366. As for the moon, it can be 354 or 355. It relates a lot to Enoch. Notice how many books he written, and notice what day he was taken into the heavens. Hint, hint. So this is why, because of that change now, my brothers and sisters, and we'll go back to the chart, this is why you would see for cycle 3, you may have 31, 32, or 33 days that the moon would be ahead of the sun, which would cause it to start out of season. Instead of the spring season, it would start in the winter season. That's what that means, okay? So if a 13th month is not added, my brothers and sisters, this is simple math. If the moon is 354, 355, and the sun is 365 or 366, this is simple math. The moon is 10 to 11 days or 12 days short. So it's going to always be ahead of the sun. It's going to start early. This is simple math. And even the heavens produce an extra moon. And we just looked at that when we talked about the sevenfold course of the moon in 19 years. Simple math. I don't know why the brothers denied the 13th moon, because it's evidence what happened. Look at the night moon. Look at the night moon report, and you will see where they're at. For those who didn't add the 13th moon in the year of 2015 and 2016, they're in their 10th month. So soon their month of Eviv will start in the winter season, not in the spring season. But let us continue. So in the cycle 5, the moon can have 51 or 52 days. And in cycle 8, the moon can have 81 or 82 days. Now I'm going to go back up and let you see this. But here is some more information listed to explain why this change has occurred. I know it has to do with Enoch, and it also has to do with what happened to King Hezekiah and why that time changed. Okay? But the Old Testament and the other sacred books will confirm that the sun year used to be 364 and the moon used to be 360, but it has changed. And also watch the video on the King James 1611 Almanac as proof. Before I scroll back up, I do want to let you know I list the resources I use, but also pictures of the new moon crescent sightings on how I was able to determine when the new moon started. And from those dates, that's how I was able to do the calculations and figure out if those sightings match up to the Lunar Epact. And from doing all of that work, my brothers and sisters, it lined up. Now let me go back up so you can see what I'm talking about with the 33, 52, or 82 days of the moon. Bear with me. And go up. Start from the top. So as here, what I did is I added like the days of the moon. When how many days the moon was ahead of the sun before you add in the 30. Before you add in the 30. Sorry, before you add in the 13th month. So what I did, I subtract 30 from 384. And once I did that, I got a number 354 minus 366, and then I added with the other differences. So I got a total of 32 days for cycle 3. And I did the same thing with the other dates listed below. So when we got to cycle 5, again, I added, these days of how many days the moon was behind the sun. I did not include the days of the 13th month so you actually get a picture. So I got 22 days, okay? And I added to the total of cycle 3, which gave me a grand total of 54 days that the moon would be behind the sun. It would be ahead of the sun. Then when it came to cycle 8, I did the same thing. I got a total of 32 days that the moon would be ahead of the sun. And I added that total to cycle 5 and cycle 3 grand total. And I got a total of 86 days. Okay. And I did the same thing ongoing when the cycle restarts itself. Remember, Yahuwah ways is not our ways, as written in by the prophet Isaiah. Okay. His cycle is just like what we see what a clock does, what we see what the moon circuit does, and what the sun circuit does. Once the circuit is complete, that means it has a beginning point and an ending point. It starts all over again. And that's the same way with this cycle of 358. It starts all over again. For cycle 5, as you see, I got that the moon would be ahead 22 days of the sun. And I added that into cycle 3 total, and I got a total of 55 days that the moon would be ahead of the sun. That's if they don't add, the 13th month. And what's going to happen is going to push the month of Abid or Aviv into the winter season. So when we get to cycle 8, the moon was 33 days ahead of the sun, and that total to cycle 3 and cycle 5 total, which gave me a total of 88 days the moon would be ahead of the sun. And this is just simple math, okay? So soon we get the total for cycle 3 once the year of 2018 and 2019 will close out. But I'm sitting here just praising the Father within myself, my brothers, because to see Enoch prophetic writings come to life, and by keeping this record and by doing these calculations, it was worth it. Because again, the word is true. It cannot be denied. It's evidence in the heavens, it's evidence in the earth, it's evident in his calendar. I mean, cannot be denied. Okay? And so I will scroll all the way down here where you can see some of the resources I use and pictures and all that kind of thing. Okay? I use timeanddate.com. I use Facebook. I use Israeli New Moon Society and other websites too that's been keeping a record. And some of these sites have noticed that America has been seeing the new moon before Israel as well as other parts of the countries. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down some, not all the way. Okay. All right, my brothers and sisters, I hope this was helpful because I'm rejoicing within. Because now, here's the final conclusion. When you're not for sure whether to add a 13th month, because sometimes the moon will start a couple days before the equinox, but it will be less than 10. The tiebreaker is the 358. And when we look at the Lunar Epact, it will help us to determine when it will help us to determine that we sighted the new moon crescent correctly. And it will also line up with the 358 cycle, okay? Because we can see the first days or the days that the moon is ahead of the sun. We can see how it works, and we can see how it falls within that 10-day grace period. And to my brother Yahushua, I just want to say thank you for keeping your records, because I learned some things from your records, and I learned that because me, I'm sorry, and because I took the time to compare your notes and what I have, it edified me. When I say edify, it led me to a higher spiritual level with the Father, and letting me know there was some things missing. Okay. And this did not come by me, my brother. Okay. This came by the Father. There was some things missing that the brethren was not teaching the people regarding his calendar, such as the heavens determine when his Sabbath days are, his new moon days are, and his holy feast days. The grace period determines whether the grace period is one of the things we use to determine whether a 13 month should be added. But the tiebreaker is that 358 cycle. Also, looking at the sevenfold course of the moon in 19 years is proof that the 13th month does exist, which align up with what the prophet Ezekiel written. So I thank you for keeping your records, because if we look at each other records and share, we can see the bigger picture. And also it helps to point out if we made any errors so we can correct those errors. It's not to belittle anybody or make anybody feel less. It is for edification. So we can grow in the truth of Yahuwah, not in what we say is true, but what Yahuwah say is true. Because we don't want men to follow us. We want men to follow Yahuwah and to do Yahuwah will. That's what we want. All right. Continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashyach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostle continued them both. Even Nat Turner continued. He was the prophet of the Most High. Therefore, we shall continue it too. For we are the bride of the Lamb. The Lamb set the example, and we must follow. And I just want to say a short prayer. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, Father, bless this truth. Let this video go out through the four corners of the earth. Let this truth come out about your 10-day grace period when the moon come in too soon, and about your Lunar Epact, and about the 13th month, and about that the heavens determine your Sabbath days, your new moon days, your holy days and holy feast days. Let that truth go out, and let men seek you and come from out of the fourth beast doctrines, from the fourth beast leavened bread. Let them eat your unleavened bread so they can remove that, and then fill them with the fullness of Yah so they become like the bread on Pentecost, a mystery that many do not understand. All right, my brothers and sisters, I said enough, talked enough. Shalom. And do you know who that peace is with you? Read Matthew chapter 10, verse I think it's 11 to 12 or 12 to 13, and Matthew chapter 28, verse 20.